Welcome everybody to the Financial Church. So excited to have you here today. See folks coming on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you had a great week. I know it's been a crazy week from the external conditions standpoint, from things that are occurring in life. Most of our life, if not all of our life, actually happens from our inner world first. And so there's something happening in the collective consciousness of us as human beings that is manifested as this experience that we are having here and now. And we are here to explore that by practicing and demonstrating on ourselves of how we create with our minds. So I want to welcome everybody to the Financial Church. If you're joining us on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere else, I encourage you to hit the like button and share as widely as you possibly can. If this truth sets you free, then please set this truth free by getting it out into the world. So I just want to thank you all for being here. I know a lot of you are quarantined right now. So you may not have gone to your traditional church service or the mosque or the synagogue. And so I'm glad that you're here and you're spending this time with me and us as a collective now. So give me a second while I get this all set up on the timelines. Let me know if you are, for lack of a better word, a new member. If this is your first time, type 2 if you've been here for 2 of the 3 services, and type 3 if you have been here. This is your 3rd time with us. All right. Let me know. I want to see how much reintroduction I have to do. This is a new space. And so I'm so excited to see new energy coming in all the time. But of course, I'm excited to see people loving it and continuing to come back as well. So great. See some new faces, see some familiar faces. Good. Awesome. So with that, we are going to get started. I respect your time. Our time is our most valuable asset that we have. We can all know how much is in our bank account, but nobody knows how much is in their time account. So I respect your time and I want to honor that. So we're going to get right into it and others will come as we go. Okay. So welcome everybody. My name is Julian Gordon and I want to welcome you to the Financial Church. First off, I want to give thanks to God, the Most High. However you define that, this is a this is a non-denominational space, and we accept all here. We don't focus on the morality here. That's for your church, your synagogue, or your mosque in the morning. We focus on manifestation and money here. And so what we do is we extract the principles of creation, particularly from the Bible because of my Baptist upbringing. And we try to see how God wants us to create, how God wants us to manifest, and how God wants us to relate to money. And so that's what this space is all about. That is somewhat of a gap in the traditional churches and other places. It's all spirituality, and then finance is like this taboo thing. But we believe that abundance is your birthright here. And we want to understand those principles. If God is the creator, and however you define God, and we are all children of God, then we are also creators, and we need to know how to create deliberately and intentionally. That makes us more like our mother, father, God. All right. So ultimately, what we want to do is we are seeking to bring heaven on earth. And by heaven, I don't mean some place in the sky that people think you go to after death. Heaven is your life and your world as you visualize it in your mind, and how you actually manifest that in the tangible, which is earth. So that's what this space is really all about. And those manifestations are anything that you want to manifest in your life, but money being one of the tools, one of the most measurable tools that we have. So if we believe that we know it all spiritually, if we understand God, there's no reason for lack or scarcity in our lives. And so money is just one measurement and one demonstration of how well you understand your purpose, your relationship to your creator, who you are, what you are, and why you are. Okay. So wherever you are at this moment in time, I want you to just pause and be still for just a second. And I want you to take 3 deep breaths. Okay. 3 deep breaths. Inhale, let your belly go out. Fill it up. And exhale. All right, one more. Okay. There's something very divine about breath, because our breath has to be one of our core connections to our creator, because it's the one thing that we in the physical body cannot stop, even if we want to, unless we decide to commit suicide. So there's some connection between the one mind and our mind and breath, because it is not something in our full control. Now, imagine that each breath that we take in all day, every day, reminds us that God always supplies what we need right on time. That demonstration alone, if you always come back to your breath, you know that God always supplies what you need right on time, right? Your Father knows exactly what you need even before you ask him. That's from Matthew 6:8. And so imagine this: if we can only accept money like we accept air. Just pause on that for a moment. What if you could accept money like you accept air? You always trust that your air is going to arrive, your oxygen is going to arrive to you right on time. You don't even think about it twice, okay? Unless you're in a hospital on your deathbed, you're not even thinking about your last breath. If you could only accept money in the same way and trust that your creator, however you define that, is going to supply for you in the moment of need. Okay, so this is what we're trying to move towards. That's the consciousness we are trying to move towards with this particular ministry. So I want to give thanks for your presence here. I want to give thanks for God using me in this way to be able to share this message with you, to bring the spiritual world and the financial world together in this idea of financial spirituality in this space called the financial church. My prayer for all of you that are here today is that you hear and that you understand and that you're actually able to apply the things that I share with you today, that I have spent the entire week thinking about, meditating on, downloading, so that I can bring it to you. And I just pray that I've heard clearly and that your ears and your mind are open to receive the message, and that it gets planted deep down inside in a way that it bears fruit for you in your life in the upcoming days, weeks, months, and forever. Okay. So with that, I want to ask you again to go ahead and share this and like it and heart. Let me see all that stuff going on social media. If this truth set you free in the past few weeks, then please set this truth free. Okay. If this truth sets you free in the past few weeks, or if you know that it's going to set you free this week, then please set it free now by sharing as much as you can. Here, we actually don't believe in tithing. Okay. We don't believe in tithing in this ministry until you've actually acquired some assets and established your emergency fund, okay? I cannot give first fruits from a tree if I don't own a tree. I cannot give first fruits from a tree if I don't own a tree. When you think about tithing in the Old Testament, a lot of the tithing was based on first fruits, giving of the calves or the animals that you had or the fruits that you produced. But remember, in order to have calves, in order to have animals to tithe from, you actually had to own them. But right now, many of us are in a place where we actually don't own anything. And your salary is not your first fruit. Your salary is not your first fruit. In a business, your fruit is actually your income. In a business has its revenues, it has its expenses, and then what's left over, what it actually produces, is actually the income that's left over after the expenses, okay? What it makes in revenue is irrelevant. Some businesses only have a 10% profit margin. So if they make $10 million in revenue, and they have 9 million in cost, their first fruits is not off of 10 million, their fruits is off of their income. So for an individual like yourself, who might have a salary, your salary is actually your revenues. Then you have all of your living expenses, and your fruit, what you actually produced that month, what you actually gained, is what's left over at the end of the month, not what you got paid in your 2 checks. Okay. So in this ministry, we believe in abundance. And we do not want you to give out of scarcity. And I'm not asking you to give any money. In fact, the reason I'm able to give in this way, the reason I'm able to take time to do this work that you may not have time to do, is because I've already achieved financial freedom. And so I'm able to use this space to give freely, without worry, without begging, without any mindset of scarcity. This is my way of giving freely to the world without any exchange of money whatsoever. And I want you to be in this position because it feels absolutely beautiful and absolutely great to be able to give of yourself freely, without worrying about paying bills, without worrying about mortgages, without worrying about car notes, without worrying about healthcare. This is where I want you to be able to give from. All right. So the series that we're doing right now is on the parable of the talents. This is a financial ministry, and this parable is from Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 31, and it is one of the financial cornerstones in the Bible that teaches us how God actually wants us to relate to money and how God actually wants us to multiply money. In part one of this series, 2 weeks ago, we went over why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And we talked about the idea and the mindset of scarcity and abundance. To those who have, more will be given, and those who do not have, what they have will be taken away. Wait, why? That sounds like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, but no, it's basically saying if you have an abundance mindset, if you already believe that you have because you are connected to your source, right? To you, however you define your source, then more will be given to you. But if you have a scarcity mindset, you will lose everything that you think you already have, right? And that's based on fear versus being based and rooted in faith. What we said last week is that God never taps out. God never taps out. If you believe that there is a limited supply of money, resource, and possibility in this world, that is basically your imagination of how big your God is. God never taps out. You just have to tap in. God never taps out. You just have to tap in. So that's what we discussed in week one. And so you can go see that at thefinancialchurch.com, thefinancialchurch.com. The replay is there. Then in week two, we got into mind your own business. And we talked about how comparison actually cuts us off from our blessing. Comparison, when we are in a mindset of comparison, we block our own blessing. Okay, we block our own blessing. This week, we're going to talk about how to multiply money. That's today. And then next week, we're going to talk about receive so that you can give. A lot of people here give so that you can receive, but it's a reciprocal relationship. And many of us are givers, but we actually don't know how to receive. And therefore, that cuts off our ability to continue to give sustainably. Everything that God creates is a sustainable creation. Everything that God creates is a self-producing creation, but many of us don't give in that way that's sustainable, and we are sacrificial. We are sacrificial. And I think we have a misunderstanding of Jesus being the quote unquote sacrificial lamb and things of that nature. That's not how God creates. Everything that God creates is self-sustaining. And so we have to create in that way. And this is from a financial standpoint. This is why it's so important to create assets. Buy or create assets because they are self-sustaining. When I buy an income property, it is self-sustaining. It pays for its mortgage and it gives me profit on top of that. Then that's not the only type of asset that's out there. That is the asset that I've used in this time, in this lifetime, to demonstrate the financial principles that I'm teaching you, the financial spirituality that I'm teaching you. Okay. So, today, we are going to explore the entrepreneurial spirit. Isn't that interesting that we call it the entrepreneurial spirit? Right? So the entrepreneurial spirit, that's been language that's been around for quite some time. And what is that? That's mixing the creator that's within us with the spirit that is also within us, right? That entrepreneurial spirit is the creator within us. And then, like I said, as sons and daughters of the creator, I don't care what you call your God. If you are a son and daughter of that creator, and if we trace all of our lineage back, it goes back to a creator. You may call yours this, I may call it this, you may call it that, but it all goes back. And so therefore you are a creator. So in truth, we've actually all been entrepreneurs. We've all been entrepreneurs. If an entrepreneur is somebody that brings something new into the world, it doesn't just happen. Creation does not just happen with a childbirth. That is not the only way that we are intended to create on this earth. That's one form of creation, right? That's one form of creation, but in most cases, it's actually not the greatest form of creation that a man or woman can do on earth. It is a powerful form of creation, okay? But we actually meant to create in other ways in addition to that, if that's what you desire, okay? So today, the key word in the subject, how to multiply money, is actually multiply. Multiply. The word multiply appears 58 times in the Bible, okay? In Genesis, many of them occur there. 16 of them occur in Genesis in the creation story, right? And this is where Adam, Noah, right? Abraham, they're all commanded to be fruitful and what? Multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. Okay. So a lot of the words multiply come in the Old Testament. And then in the New Testament, Jesus does what? He multiplies loaves of bread and fish. Multiply. So you see multiplication over and over and over throughout the Bible. In the parable of the sower, Jesus speaks of the seeds planted into the good soil. And we know that that good soil, he's not talking about farming. We know that that good soil is actually the subconscious or the heart mind. It's the deepest mind. It's like where the deepest, most richest roots are, right? We know the good seed planted in the good soil, multiplying 100-fold, right? When we are able to get a divine idea deeply planted into us, right? Into our subconscious, into our heart mind, right? There's a heart mind connection where the feeling matches the thought. There's a heart-mind connection where the feeling, right? Your heart is your feeling area, matches the thought. When those two things combine, we are able to create things 100-fold, right? And then you can go look at the parable of the sower. Actually, we'll get into that at another date and time, okay? So we see this idea of multiplication happening over and over and over. Now, it doesn't just happen in a positive sense. Okay, we see multiplication when Jesus spoke of the evil spirits, saying that the spirit finds 7 other spirits more evil than itself. Okay, so Jesus is talking about an evil spirit, right? Multiplying itself by 7 times, going and finding 7 more spirits. So when we're talking about these universal principles, principles, they're non-judgmental. They can be used for good or bad. It's just like a knife. A knife can be used to stab somebody, or it can be used to slice a piece of bread and give to feed somebody. These universal principles, Hitler can use them and Gandhi can use them, okay? These are universal principles that anybody can access and can be used for whatever. And so we who are committed to creating good in this world want to understand these universal laws and principles so that we can deliberately create a more beautiful world and experience for ourselves and everyone around us in the entire human race because of the power of our mind, okay? Right now, we getting outplayed. We're getting outplayed. There are people who don't have good intentions, who are using these universal laws and principles to create a world that we on this other side are not happy with, okay? And a lot of times they're doing it and I call it error thought. I don't call it sin. Sin actually only means to miss the mark, okay? But I call it error thought, right? They may be using the universal principles, but it's backed by a mindset of scarcity. And therefore, we see things like the transatlantic slave trade, right? They're using the principles to expand and to create the world that they experience, but they believe in scarcity, so they had to oppress other people in order to have that experience of life that they have. But at the end of the day, fear, if you create in fear, fear will always be the foundation, and you cannot sleep at night easily like that, okay? So universal laws can be used for good and bad, and we on the side of good and light actually want to be able to use these principles deliberately so that we are deliberate creators. The reality is that you're always creating. Your thoughts are always creating. Your mind is always creating. Every single moment you are creating. We just want to get in a space of deliberate creation where we say we want something and we can manifest it, right, over a period of time, all right? So with that, let's read the scripture. Let's read the scripture of the parable of the talents again. A lot of you have been here. Might think this is redundant or repetitive. We do have a lot of newcomers here this week. But when you're trying to plant a thought, get it rooted in the subconscious or the heart mind, it takes repetition. That's actually the only way. This is why you have to sing the same songs over and over in elementary school and things of that nature. Is repetition. Repetition is the way that we learn. And so I want this parable to be so embedded in your consciousness that it actually just becomes part of your being and your behavior. And once your being changes, your doing changes, and you're having changes. All right. So let's read the scripture. I'm going to share my screen actually, because I put it on a slide for y'all. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Where is it? Boom. Share. Oh, we got a new logo, y'all. What y'all think of the new logo? What y'all think of the new logo? Let me explain it to you real quick, okay? So it's Matthew 25. So the new logo basically is a tree, right? But the branches actually match the roots. The branches match the roots because you've heard the saying, as above, so below. As above, so below. So Jesus talks about on earth as it is in heaven, right? That's as above in heaven, so below. And so the subconscious mind is the roots, right? And then the above ground, the tree, is the actual manifestation of the thoughts that are deep down in our conscious mind. This is where the fruit is born. And you see Jesus curse a fig tree because it was not bearing fruit. And so this is what I was able to come up with. It also looks like a pupil of an eye, because we know that we are all tapping into our, what people call the third eye. It's actually our first eye. Before these two eyes were actually physically formed, we already had a third eye as a child in the womb. An intuitive awareness of what was truth. We could see. This is why when Jesus talks about people being blind, he wasn't always just healing people who were like physically blind. He was talking about being blind up here. He's talking about being blind up here. Okay. So this is the logo. I hope you like it. And yeah, let's keep moving forward. All right. So here is, if you're on Instagram, you want to go to thefinancialchurch.com to get the link to join us in Zoom so you can see my screen. I do have some slides that I'll be sharing today that you will want to see. Okay, so I'm going to read the parable of the talents, Matthew 25:14-30. This is the English Standard Version. All right. For it, and it is actually the kingdom of heaven. So we always have to remember that we're talking about the kingdom of heaven here. And Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven is neither here nor there. It is in your midst. It is within you. I don't know why it's so embedded in people's minds that the kingdom of heaven is some place that we go to after we die. Once you die, you dead. You can experience the kingdom of heaven here and now. We probably did. Once you turn into pure spirit, you probably do enter the kingdom of heaven. But if it's in your midst, if it's within, then it's also here and now. And we can have it here and now. We don't have to wait until later, okay? So remember that he keeps giving parables about the kingdom of heaven because it's so, you can't comprehend the kingdom of heaven with the five senses. Right? You actually have to tap into your third eye and into your intuition to be able to understand what the kingdom of heaven is. And that's what we're seeking to do through this teaching. Okay. So for it, the kingdom of heaven will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. The one he gave five talents, to another two, to another one, and to each according to his ability. And then he went away. He who had received 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had 2 talents made 2 more talents. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received 5 talents came forward, bringing his 5 talents, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here, I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Basically, enter into the kingdom of heaven, okay, on earth, okay? And he also, who had 2 talents, came forward saying, Master, you delivered me 2 talents. Here, I have made 2 more talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, you have what is yours. But his master answered him, you wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reaped where I have not sown and gathered where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have at least invested my money with the bankers. And at my coming, I could have received what was mine own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has more, everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from him, the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So that is our scripture. And in week 1, we covered how lowly this scripture speaks of banking. So there's bearing the money, and just above bearing the money and getting no interest whatsoever is the banks. And a lot of us have money locked in bank accounts and savings accounts, and we think that the bank is actually saving our money and doing a good thing for us, but you are literally getting 0.03% interest on your money in a savings account. At 0.03% interest, it will take you 2,400 years to double your money sitting in Bank of America. Okay, so we are supposed to be better stewards of this money, and we define money as stored energy. We define money as stored energy. And so when you have money or stored energy that's being unproductive, then it's useless. And you're like the servant who actually buried their money in the dirt. After you've established your emergency fund, however many months of emergency fund you need, and 2 months of operating expenses, then from there, all your money should be out in play. When I get cash, I do not keep cash. The moment I get cash from a real estate deal or from a speaking engagement or something like that, I'm looking for an asset to put that money into. I do not want to keep this money. My security is not in having cash. You realize your cash is actually worthless. It's just paper. It's 70% cotton. We are still out here picking cotton, right? You want to turn that cash immediately into an asset that ends up paying you indefinitely. And that's what we're going to learn here today. So saving money is actually financial sin. Saving money in a bank account I want to be very clear, after you've established your emergency fund and have 2 months of operating expenses, saving money is financial sin, okay? I don't like to use that word, but you're financially missing the mark if you were saving money in a bank account. It needs to be invested, okay? And this is what this multiplied, right? Which is our key word for today, all right? So with that, let's get into the teaching. Stop sharing my screen real quick. All right, y'all with me? Y'all with me? If you're just joining us, we are doing a 4-part series on the parable of the talents. This is week 3, and we're talking about how to multiply money. So I told you that I would give you 3 ways to multiply money, and they are lovely. They are demonstrated really well in this particular parable in terms of the 3 ways to multiply money, okay? So the first level in terms of multiplying money, it's actually not multiplying money. It's actually learning how to earn money. Okay, so I want everybody to write that down, type that in the chat. Type that in the chat on Instagram, Zoom, YouTube, type that in the chat, or Facebook. Learning how to earn money. That is the first level. Okay, we're trying to master money, and there are levels to this. Okay, learning how to earn money. Now, this master had these 3 servants and probably many others, and they were all initially in a space of just earning money as servants, okay? They were initially in a space of earning money. And as the master said, he gave to them according to their ability. So they had a financial relationship or some sort of working relationship prior to this moment. These weren't just servants off the street, right? They had some sort of working relationship. And earning money is simply the level of an employee. Okay, it's the level of an employee. And this is where the servants were initially up until they were empowered and entrusted with the master's property and with these talents. See, a lot of people, since we were young, we were taught to think about what we wanted to be growing up and the job that we wanted, as if a job is the only way to earn money. Like we were literally programmed. Our whole school system, going to school from 8 to 3 p.m. was literally just lined up to prepare us for the 9-to-5 job that many people would ultimately have, taking direction and leadership from somebody who's at the front and being told what to do, and then being stuck when there was no leadership and not knowing what to do, right? There are literally people who only know how to succeed when they're told what to do. And so what this does is it causes us to undervalue ourselves in terms of our true value. What you get paid as your salary is not your true value. What you get paid as your salary is never going to be your true value, because then the company would never make profit. Somehow they've had to convince you, right? They look at you and they say, okay, I can pay this person $60,000 because I know they're going to produce $150,000 for me. I'll happily pay them $60,000, health insurance and everything. Maybe it adds up to $75,000 because I know that I can make $150,000 off of them, which leaves me with $75,000 profit, and then they get to take $75,000. So every employer knows that you are undervaluing yourself. If you directly could go to the market and actually go command $150,000 on your own, you would. And a lot of people say they want to get paid more and believe that they should get paid more. If you truly believed it, then you would go get paid more. But you are likely accepting a salary that is beneath you because you actually don't believe that you're worth more than you are actually accepting. Your value is what you accept. That is it. Your value is what you accept. Why would you stay in a job that's only paying you $50,000, but you believe you're worth $100,000? Why would you stay there if you truly believe you were worth more? Okay, so we have to accept full responsibility for the choices that we're making. None of you hate your employer. A lot of people, they say, what, 80% of Americans hate their job, things of that nature. None of you hate your employers. You want to know what the reality is? You hate yourself. You hate yourself for accepting less than you deserve and staying anyways. None of you hate your employers. You hate yourself for accepting less than you deserve and staying anyways. Let's just look in the mirror. Let's just hold up the mirror and be honest with ourselves. Because if you truly believe that you are worth more, then you would go get more, period. Okay? So we have put so much dependency on these corporations. And here we have this global crisis that we're facing with this virus. And there are people who are on salary and people who are on hourly who will experience financial vulnerability because 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So if all of a sudden I'm not getting paid from March to April, and that's just the minimum, most of people's quarantines are at least 30 days. My daughter's off school until mid-April, right? Then a lot of people are going to experience economic vulnerability, right? And so there's something wrong with how we're actually approaching it, and we are actually being undervalued, and this is why we don't have the abundance that we truly desire, right? So I got this quick story about this young man who was working at Home Depot. I bought my property in Brooklyn, my 3-family in Brooklyn, and was ready to do a 25 by 25 backyard. You know, backyards in Brooklyn ain't big, right? But, you know, still had to do some kind of design work and things of that nature. And so going to Home Depot with my cart, ready to go get some grass and things of that nature. And I meet this guy, his name is, I think it was Vicente. And he's in the gardening section, and he show him a picture of what the backyard, and I show him a drawing of what I want, and he takes a cart and he starts pushing it around the gardening section and putting stuff in there and just laying it all out, And what happened was he was like, cool, that's it, that's all you need. Do this, do this, do this. I was writing down notes, and then I went to the checkout, and in that moment, I realized that I would have happily paid him $3,000 to come over that weekend and execute on that vision for me, okay? I would have happily paid him $3,000 to come over that weekend and execute on that vision for me. So I ended up doing it myself. Because I was working on my green thumb. Ultimately, I want to grow a garden that is in my heaven, and I'm trying to bring that down to earth, literally. And I got space here in New Orleans to do that, and the ground is fertile here. But the situation was the average hourly rate at Home Depot is about $12.50 per hour. Okay, $12. What is it? It was about $10 per hour was the average at Home Depot. So I was willing to pay him $3,000 to come execute that in a 2-day weekend, okay? But instead, he's accepting $10 an hour at Home Depot, all right? So it would have taken him 300 hours at home working at Home Depot, 3,000 divided by 10, 300 hours working at Home Depot, which is the equivalent to 7.5 weeks. Almost 2 months working at Home Depot, right? 2 months working full-time at Home Depot to match what I was willing to give him that weekend if he could have came over and executed. So he was in a space where he was not in awareness of his true value, okay? He was not in awareness of his true value. And the reality is that many of us are selling our time to our employers for wholesale Costco-like prices. In Costco, what do? When you buy in bulk at Costco, what do? You get a discount. You get all this ketchup, right? You get all this ketchup, and you get it at a volume discount because you're buying so much at once. But if you were to go to the regular grocery store and try to buy that same amount of ketchup in the smaller bottles, it would cost you twice as much, right? And so the same thing happens with our time when we're in a relationship with an employer. What happens is they're buying our time in bulk. And when they buy our time in bulk, what do? We discount it. We discount our time. And like I said before, I'm going to respect your time here today. Our time is our most valuable asset. It is the only thing that really matters. Okay? You can create all the wealth, you could have all the health in the world, but if your clock is running out, then your clock is running out and you no longer get to experience this life. So we have to get out of the paradigm of trading time for money. And when you look at the servants, right, prior to this moment of their master investing in them, when you look at the servants, they beforehand were in a space of trading time for money. And the servant that buried his talent, right? He didn't know how to make money. He only knew how to earn money by being a servant. And so we have to elevate our consciousness beyond just earning money to the next level, which is actually making money. Because when you look at your boss or you look at the founder of your company, what's the difference between you and them? Like they came through a womb. They came through a womb just like you. They were created by God just like you, right? So what's really the difference between you and the founder of the company that you might work at? There's none. The same potential that is in them is also in you. The same God that is in them is also in you. So physically, there's nothing different really. But there was probably some set of beliefs and programs that were in their subconscious mind that made them believe that they could create something that had the power to have an impact on the world, which then could employ people to help expand that vision, right? And so we have to evaluate our thinking about ourselves and how money works, and we have to get out of the servant mode. Because in reality, a salary is slavery. Because if I'm working hourly people oftentimes get overtime when they go over 40 plus hours a week, right? When you're on salary, there's no longer a 40-hour work week. They can work you 50 hours, 60 hours, and they call it busy season or something like that. But guess what? For working more, you don't get paid more. For working more, you do not get paid more when you are on salary. Now, some salary jobs do have a bonus at the end of the year, things of that nature, and your boss might acknowledge you. But a salary, if you're not careful, can actually be slavery. So the second level that we need to get to, and which is demonstrated in the parable of the talents, is learning how to make money, okay? Learning how to make money. Everybody type that into chat. Learning how to make money. Type that into chat, okay? Learning how to make money. So the third servant who got one talent, he didn't know how to make money. He had money, money was given to him, but he didn't know how to multiply it, okay? And so now we need to get in a space where we know how to make money, okay? We've been given this resource. I've been given 2 talents. I've been given 5 talents. What do I do with them? And when we go back to the scripture, I want to read carefully what it says, okay? In verse 16, it said, he who had received the 5 talents did what? Went at once and traded with them. He who had received 5 talents went at once, no hesitation, went at once and traded with them. This is what I said. You do not want to hold on to money. It inherently has no value whatsoever. It is a representation of value. It is stored energy. Money is useless until you use it. So he didn't hesitate. He didn't wait until, the master's probably coming back in like a week now. Let me go try to flip this money. He went at once and traded with them. So here's a key about money. Money is not valuable to people. It is not. People part with their money all the time. And the way a business operates, the way a business sells a person something is when they find something more valuable to that person than money. When they find something more valuable to that person than money, okay? You could cut off all your expenses, all your bills, your utilities, your apartment, your mortgage, your car, etc. And you could just stack all the money that you make from your job or from your business. But then you realize that, I got this stack of paper, right? But a roof over my head is actually valuable to me. Having heat or air conditioning, that's actually valuable to me. Okay, I'm gonna part with my money. Dang, having some good food, that's actually valuable to me. And so the way to get money, more money, because other people have your money, right, is to actually find something that's more valuable to people than money. People think that money is the most valuable thing to people, but it's not. People part with money all day long. All day long, people part with money because in that moment, some entrepreneur, some creator, because there's creators and there's consumers, some creator has found a way to create something that is more valuable to that person than the money that they are currently holding on to. Are y'all with me on this? Okay. So we have to get into the space of learning how to make money. Okay. If many of you who might be quarantined and might not be getting paid this month Can you take the skill set that you have actually been selling to your employer for Costco wholesale prices? Can you take that same skill set and go sell it on your own for twice as much? See, a lawyer might get paid $150 an hour at a law firm, okay? But that law firm is making $500 an hour, selling their time for $500,000 to its clients. So if my law firm can sell my time for $500 an hour and only pay me $150, if I step away from this brand, right? Because some of us only go to companies for brands and to hide behind that brand instead of stepping into our true power and our actual individual brand. When you think about some of the greatest brands, you think about Oprah Winfrey, you think about Jay-Z, you think about Steve Jobs, you think about Warren Buffett. I knew about Warren Buffett before I knew about Berkshire Hathaway. Okay? I knew about Warren Buffett before I knew about Berkshire Hathaway. So what does that mean? That he led with his personal brand, and then there's this other brand behind him. Jay-Z, he leads with his personal brand. Oprah, she leads with her personal brand and then names everything after herself. OWN, Oprah Winfrey Network. O Magazine, she's on every single cover. But we were taught and programmed to hide behind big brands. Go get this degree from this school. Go get this job at this company and put that brand on your resume and people will recognize you. But when we look at the world's most successful people, they all step forward into their own personal brand and then all those other brands are behind them. Some of you don't even know what schools I went to because I don't really care. They were helpful to me. And when I got to pull them out of my back pocket, I can in certain situations, but that's not what establishes my value in this world. I haven't worked for any major companies or anything like that. What establishes my value is my demonstration and my results that I've been able to create in the lives of those that I've served. That's where my value comes from, not in having some sort of logo or brand name on my resume. So it's time for you all to step into your true power, because otherwise you will have to get a slice of the American pie through employment rather than going and getting your own pie. I want you to have your own pie. They say pie in the sky. No, I want you to have your pie right here and right now. Okay? So we have to learn how to make money. And as it says, this servant with 5 talents went at once and traded them. So even though he was in servant mentality, once he actually got some capital, he knew exactly what to do with it. And so he got rid of the money. He traded with it. He traded into something else, right, that he can then sell for higher. And then he came back with 10 talents. So he was able to double the money. And it's not very specific about what the one with 2 talents did, right? But in somehow, some way, that one with 2 talents had to trade that money in order to double what they had. And we talked about it last week, is that God doesn't care about quantities. God doesn't care about quantities. What happened was the second and the first and the second, the 10 talents and 4 talents, they all doubled their money. They both got 100% return on their investments. The one with 1 talent who buried it got a 0% return. God cares about your growth. You serve a God of growth. We serve a God of growth. That's all God cares about. God knows that it gave one person 5 talents and the other person 2. God isn't comparing you based on what you have at the end of the day. God compares you based on growth. What did the master say to the person who got 2 and the servant who got 5? He said the very exact same thing. Why? Because they both had the same growth rate. I know some of you were born into poverty. Some of you were born into privilege. Doesn't matter how much, and somebody born into poverty is trying to compare themselves to somebody who's born into privilege who started out with more than them. That's not the comparison. This is why I don't look at that data, whites versus blacks or women versus men. I don't care about that. The only thing that matters to God is, what did you do with my talents? Did you grow them? I don't care. However many you had, did you grow my talents? Okay? So we have to know the distinction between active income and passive income. When you're just a servant, okay, AKA employee, that's active income and you're trading time for money. We have to start moving once we get some capital, however we get it, because God is our angel investor, right? However we get that capital. For me, I don't see any of my money as mine. And in fact, I can't even call it my money. The money that I've received, it is not mine. It is not mine. For me, it all belongs to God. And I've been given into it because I've been demonstrating that I'm a good steward. I get more and more and more of it. And then I try to deploy it into ways that bring heaven on earth. That is why I believe money comes to me. Not because I've got a better mousetrap than the person next to me or something like that, because I'm a good steward of it. God sees that and creates avenues for me to receive more. All right. So one way, and this story demonstrates, is that the master, which we'll get to in a second, operates differently than even the servants who were able to double their money. Okay. Right. So we have to know the difference between active income, which is trading time for money. Let's just do this really quickly. Would you rather have $100,000 job, which works you 40 to 60 hours a week, or have 100% passive income of $5,000 per month? Let me know. Let me know. One is all active income. The other one is all passive income. Which one would you prefer? Which one would you prefer? 5,000 passive every single month, or have to go work and trade time for money for 100? See, you would all want the passive, yet the passive is less than the active. Okay? So for those of you trying to transition, you're trying to transition from active to passive. And that's what I was able to do. I've only worked officially for 3.5 years for somebody else. I only worked officially for 3.5 years. 2 of those years, which was right after my time in undergrad, I was making like $32,000. For 2 of those years, I was making $32,000. Okay. When I came out of business school, I did make more, even though it's still a nonprofit, but I was only there for 1.5 years. So I've only worked for other people as a servant for 3.5 years. My employer is God. That's who my employer is. Okay. So a job can fire you, but you are still an employee of God. You are here to do God's work. Okay. Faith without works is dead. I'm here. I'm about my Father's business. Ain't that what Jesus said when his parents couldn't find him when he's 12 years old? He said, "Didn't you know I'm about my Father's business?" When you about your Father's business, you're going to be well compensated. But some people think that doing God's work has to be a life of poverty. That's not true. It's been a life of abundance for me, and I feel pure in how I'm moving through the world and how I'm using money. The money is not mine. Jesus said, "Give Caesar what Caesar due, and give God what God is due." God is due all of it. So I actually don't even need to tithe. I don't have to give God a fraction of what, because it all belongs to God. In this parable, what does it say? The master's money. The master's money. So a lot of people, they get money and they look at it and say, "Oh, in God we trust," but they're really worshiping that piece of paper right there. When I get money, I look at it, I say, in God we trust, and I let it go. A lot of people get money, say, "In God we trust." Yeah, I got this thing, right? This piece of paper. This piece of paper is really my God. This is what I trust in. When I get money, say, "In God we trust," and I release it. That's how I operate, because I know as I give, so shall I receive. When I'm being a good steward of that money, I can release money easily, right? So that is an affirmation written on the American dollar. It is an affirmation, but you have to be very careful about whether or not you're worshiping that dollar and that dollar's actually been made your God, or if you actually truly trust the universal laws. I call it boomerang money. I let it go and it comes right back to me. It's the law of circulation. I don't spend money. I circulate money. I don't spend money. I circulate money. I don't know when it's going to circulate back. I don't know how long it's going to take to circulate, but I circulate money. I release it. I don't even think twice about when I need to pay contractors, this and that. I'm happy to see that money flowing into other families and things of that nature. This is part of why I love real estate, because there's people, contractors that I have that I know I'm putting food on their table. I'm being a good steward of that. Even though I don't have like full-time employees like that, I know that through that work, I'm putting food on people's tables. I'm circulating money. I'm not trying to hoard this money. We talked about it the other week. A lot of people treat money like those shows hoarder. They're hoarding money. That's stored potential energy that could be in use, in play in this world to create heaven on earth. But it's just stored and locked up somewhere. It's not even at the bank. The bank has got rid of it. The bank got rid of it. It ain't even at the bank. Okay? So we have to get in the process of learning how to make money. Okay? Third level, right? Anybody know what the third level is? Third level. So we have learn how to earn money, learn how to make money, okay? And then we have to learn how to make money. This is true multiplication. Make money. That's growing and investing. Y'all got it. Now, which character knew how to make money? Which character in this story knew how to make money, y'all? Which character? I'm looking in chat, I don't see it. The master. Nope, not the first parable. They knew how to double money, which is good. You're multiplying something by 2. The master knew how to make money. The master wasn't even there. The master wasn't trading no time for money whatsoever. So if you want to master money, you got to get to a level where you know how to make money, so much so that you are no longer trading time for money. These are the 3 levels. And this short little parable demonstrates the way to wealth right here, okay? Now in the Luke version of this story, because it's in two of the Gospels, the master gives the one who made 10 talents, or mina in that version, 10 cities. So what this communicates to me is that this master, first and foremost in this parable, it said the master had property, right? But if the master is now given that one 10 cities and the other one 5 cities, then this master had land. What is land? Land in those times, especially when you're farming it, is what? Land in those times, especially when you're farming it, is what? What's the word? It's the A word. Land is wealth, and land is an asset. The master had assets, okay? So this is key principle. The master was not trading time for money. The master had land, the master had money, and the master was not trying to hold on to the money, and he empowered other people to go multiply that money for him. So what do we're talking about over the past weeks, we talked about some key equations like the rule of 72, how long it takes to double money, right? And then we talked about ROI, right? Does anybody know what the ROI was for this master? Okay. So this master gave one servant 5 talents, the other servant 2, and the other servant 1. Okay. So that's 8. And I need you to get out your calculators. That's 8. And the master got back how many? 10 from one. Then it got back 4 from the other. And then 1, the one that it gave to the one. So 15. Anybody know what the return on investment was for that master? You got to know the ROI equation. You're talking about building wealth and you can't calculate ROI. It's going to be real hard to build wealth. There's some financial equations that you have to know that we teach here at the Financial Church. We call it millionaire math for millionaires. Called math for millionaires. It's not quite 100 because the servant with 1 talent didn't actually grow it. So what was the master's return? It's close to 100. Nope, not 200%. There we go. Tanya, I think Tanya and Carmelita got it. It was 87%. So basically, what is the equation for ROI? It is my gain, right? The master gained, put out 8, gained 7. So the profit was 7 talents, initially put in 8. So 7 divided by 8, right? The profit divided by the initial is the ROI. So the master had 87.5% return. Now, we don't know how long the master was gone, but that is what the master's return on investment was for this deal, okay? So you all have to know how to calculate that. That's the only way you can assess opportunity cost when you're about to invest in 2 different things. You're considering this one or this one. You have to be able to calculate the return on investment so that you can make a decision about which one you're going to go with, right? So this is powerful because the master was not even there, okay? The master is the one that is really understood money. What does verse 24 say? He also, who had received 1 talent, came forward saying, Master, I know you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you did not scatter, where you scattered no seed. The master didn't do any work in terms of exchanging time for money. Now, being able to manage resources, manage money, be a good steward of money, what did he do? He allocated that money according to what? Each of their abilities. So imagine that each one of them is an asset, and human capital is an asset. He gave the one who has demonstrated greatness in the past 5 talents according to his abilities, the other one 2, and then the one that he was a little skeptical about only gave him 1 talent. So that is work, to be able to decide where to employ this stored energy that we call money. Where should I put more energy behind? I'm not just going to give each of them 3 talents. No, I'm going to allocate this in different capacities according to my awareness of where I'm going to get the greatest return. That is work. To be able to see people's behaviors, to be able to understand various asset classes and things of that nature, that is more mental work. It's not so much handwork like a servant might do, but that is more mental work, right? And it requires study in order to get to that level to be able to make informed financial decisions, all right? So this is the power of this particular parable. And these are the 3 ways that we have to elevate. Most of us are stuck right now at earning money, right? If you were to get fired from your job, could you take your exact same skill sets and go make money with that same skill set or a different skill set that you might have? Some of you have some skill sets that got undermined because they were hand-based skill sets. Some of you have some blue-collar skill sets. You know how to fix cars. You know how to paint. You know how to do these amazing things. But because we were pushed towards white-collar, you put those things to the side. But I want you to know, you don't want to know who AI is coming after? Artificial intelligence is coming after all the lower-end white-collar jobs because computers can think a lot faster and more accurately than all the people doing white-collar work. This is why so many people can work from home in the midst of the coronavirus, because why would you commute to a computer? Eventually, with artificial intelligence, those computers won't need your intelligence. If I'm a boss and I ain't got to deal with your attitude, you know what Jeff Bezos ultimately wants? He wants to be able to wake up, press a button, and Amazon just spit out money. This is why there's drones, and it's a logistics company. And every day they're essentially working on how to get people out of the equation. Now, I don't know who's going to be there to buy the products if nobody got jobs. That's going to be an interesting dynamic. But this is the way that we're going. You cannot outsource or automate a gardener. You cannot outsource or automate a mechanic. You cannot outsource or automate a plumber. So for a long time, we've undervalued these blue-collar jobs, but they're just as valuable. And in fact, even if this economy turns, guess what? If your car breaks down, you still got to go pay your mechanic. And you know how mechanics come up with prices? Mechanics be like, man, shoot, I need $1,000 for rent. So, yep, that's going to be $1,000. Mechanics just be making up prices based on what they need that month. And guess what? You're going to have to pay it because they know how to fix your car. You with all these degrees and all this education, they know how to fix your car and you don't. So we've been valuing all these decent ways to make money. I love my contractors. I don't know if you see my picture on my Instagram. I love my contractors. This is a group of like 5 Black men, some father, sons together teaching each other these trades, right? Now, I'm not pushing you towards blue collar work. I'm just saying, can you make money on your own? That's the second level. It's the second level. Some people don't know how to make money outside of a job, okay? Now, I don't want you to be self-employed forever if you do step into that realm. I want you to get beyond self-employed because most entrepreneurs get stuck at self-employment. They're not able to grow something in a way that empowers other people to manifest their vision. And if you ever want to do something big, right, you're going to need other people to be involved. So you have to create a vision and a business model that's big enough to get other people involved. This master, he had other people involved, so much so that he could focus on the higher end vision and have other people tactically executing. I'm still elevating there. Now I have assets that make me money even when I'm asleep. I have assets that make me money, but I do want to expand. And so that is my next evolution. So I've made it just above that level, but now I want to elevate within that level. Okay. So Instagram, it's about to end. I'll restart it, so don't go too far. I'm going to restart it in just a second. In the meantime, I'm going to share my screen so that we can wrap up for today. All right. So Instagram, I'm going to end it and start it right back. Boom. Let me get them going, y'all. Boom. All right. Cool. They're good to go. All right. So I wanted to, y'all can see my screen. Can y'all see my screen? I can see my screen. Okay, cool. So how to master money. We want to be like the master, right? So how to master money, first and foremost, we have to learn how to earn money, okay? That's the first step, right? And in that space, I want you to earn as much as you can. I'm glad if you have a high paying job where you're earning. Now, we can't increase our cost of living with that. Otherwise, we'll get stuck at that high paying job, right? Because remember, you could be making 100,000, but if you're living off of 90, then you're really only earning 10. That 10 is what I would encourage you to tithe off of, not off the 100,000. Okay? Because if you tithe off of that 100,000 and you're living off of 90, then you're broke, because 10% of 100,000 is 10,000, right? And then you're living off of 90. So you have this $100,000 job, but you got zero. Your profit, your gain in that month or in that year would be what's left over. Okay? So you're making 100,000. You're making 100,000. You're living off of 90, which is too high. Probably if you're single or even if you're married, that's probably too high. Okay. Married, you're sharing housing expenses, et cetera. It should be way down. And you profited 10. Now, think about this. You only profited $10,000. You worked a whole entire year and you only profited $10,000 as an individual or as a family. You made you literally made, even though it looks like you made 100,000, you literally only made about $1,000 a month, $800 a month. That's all you made after working an entire year. That doesn't make any sense. And so here, we don't encourage tithing. Our philosophy is after you have your emergency fund and 2 months of living expenses and a certain level of assets, which I haven't decided yet, then you start tithing. You can't tithe if you don't own anything. It doesn't make sense. What you tithing from? Your net worth is negative. What you tithing from? We want you to tithe from abundance. And I'm not asking you to tithe to me. In fact, I encourage you to tithe in the way that you believe is best for you. Perhaps that is to your church, right? But if you are giving a portion of your resource, your stored energy that you created through your work, in a way that you believe is moving God's kingdom forward, however you define that, then to me, that is A-okay. Nowhere in the scripture does it say tithe directly to this source. Nowhere. Go find it yourself, or if you can find it. Nowhere does it say directly to some source. It talked about the Levites or whatnot. They don't exist anymore. Now, if your ministry, where you go to church early on Sundays, et cetera, synagogue, mosque, whatever, if it's pouring into you, then pour back into it. I'm not saying take all your money away and channel it differently. If anybody who's pouring into you, pour back into them. If you can't make an exchange, if it's not a barter where they're pouring into you with their knowledge, and then you can pour back into them equally, then pour back into them with money. Okay? Pour back into them with money. Go send your mentor a gift. Go buy something for your mother that she needs, right? Go send your mentor on a trip. Not right now, not right now, but send your mentor on a trip if they pour it into you, okay? This is a different way that you can tithe. So first and foremost, we want to learn how to earn money, okay? That's servant one. That's the servant with 1 talent who buried it and brought back 1 talent. He only knows how to trade time for money. And then you want to learn how to make money. That's servants with 2 and 5 talents. And they also had knowledge, which is intellectual capital, because he knew where to go trade that money and how to multiply it, right? So they doubled their talents. So they had intellectual capital that they were able to add to the financial capital that they had. And when you combine those two, you can actually make money, okay? And then you learn how to make money. And this was the master. The master had property, which is actually land or physical capital. The master had servants, which is human capital. And obviously the master had talents, which is financial capital. And the more forms of capital that you can put into this pot, the easier money will come to you without you actually having to trade time for money. Money was not connected to his time, right? And time was mentioned at the beginning of the parable. He went away for some time, right? He went away for some time, but he wasn't actually there multiplying the money, right? So I want to leave you. I want to make this practical. So this is our segment where we talk about bringing heaven to earth. I want to make this practical for you, okay? Practical. This is not about getting on some spiritual high and some hearts and some likes. This is about applying this to our actual lives, right? So the 3 ways to get money. It's called the ACE framework, okay? The ACE framework. All right, so the first way, which is the first servant, which is get money from an employer, okay? And most of the world gets their money from an employer. If you're on Instagram, I encourage you to go to thefinancialchurch.com, thefinancialchurch.com, so you can see the slides. If somebody could type that in, that would be great. If you're on Facebook, come on over as well to get the link. All right. So the first way to get money is from an employer, and most of the world gets their money from an employer, right? And that is hard work for others. And you get your salary, you get your 401k, and you get your pension. Okay. So I don't know. Do pensions still exist? I don't know. Social Security, I don't know if any of that stuff is going to exist anymore. Okay. So that's the first way to get money. And again, go ahead, type chat. If you only get money right now primarily get money from an employer, type employer. Type employer. Type employer if you primarily get money from an employer, okay? So Parable of the Talents teaches us that this is the lowest way to get money. Parable of the Talents teaches us that this is the lowest way to get money, okay? We got to elevate, okay? So the next way to get money is from customers. Remember, other people got your money. Other people got your money or the money that you want. And you can make them part with their money when you give them something more valuable than money. People know that money is not valuable. This is why we give it away so much. This is why people broke. They'll earn money, but it'll be gone because they wanted something that they perceived as more valuable than just holding on to that money, okay? So the next way to get money is through your customers, And that is hard work for self, especially when you're self-employed. And that's how most businesses start, as self-employed, unless you raise money in the Silicon Valley or something. So you get cash from the business you run directly, right? Or you could be an affiliate or advertiser to help other people get customers, okay? So this is where people are talking about start a Facebook ads agency if you have that skill set, digital marketing, et cetera. So every business needs customers, your business, or you can help other businesses get customers, right? And then the third way to get money in the ACE framework is assets. Okay, you get money from assets. So you get money from employer, customer, or assets. Assets require little work. This was the level of mastery. This was the master. Master didn't do major work, okay? He had property. I have income properties. I have 11 income properties, 32 doors. They provide about $36,000 in revenue. Not all of that is profit. I got to pay the mortgages and utilities and things of that nature, right? But that's what I've been able to build, and I built that in just 6 years, all right? So there's property, right? There's info product. There's some great people out there who teach how to create online courses and things of that nature. If you have some intellectual capital, what did the 2 servants who got the most talents have? They had intellectual capital. He knew how to trade something, right? So that was intellectual capital, or he had social capital, right? He knew who to go to be able to, he knew the plug, right? He knew the plug. Anybody got plugs on Lysol right now? If you got a plug on Lysol right now or Clorox wipes, you can go make some money. So it's intellectual capital, it's social capital, right? If you got the plug on Clorox or Lysol or Purell, you should be breaded right now, okay? People don't value money in this environment. People value water, Purell, Clorox wipes, and Lysol. That's the currency right now. Y'all hearing me? This piece of paper, I want to curse right now, but this piece of paper ain't worth it ain't worth it ain't gonna keep you comfortable. What is $1 million if I got the last bottle of water? What is $1 million if I got, look at this. What is $1 million if I got the last bottle of water? You think I'm gonna trade you your $1 million for this last bottle of water? You out your mind. You out your mind. So we got to really put things in perspective. This money is just made it easier for us to trade. And I talked to you about the barter system in week 1. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper. It's just an IOU. That's all it is. It's an IOU. Okay. So stocks and bonds. A lot of people talking about investing in the stock market. I encourage you to invest in the stock market, but don't just go there because you saw some stock drop. You got to know how to invest in the stock market. A lot of people on Instagram and social media, oh, invest in stocks, it's down now. You don't know what you're doing. Basically, if you just going out there blindly, what's going to happen is it's going to be like playing roulette. It's just going to be like going to the casino. But even in roulette, I know my probabilities. With the stock market, you don't know your probability whatsoever. Okay. So I want you to have stocks in your portfolio, but don't just go out there blindly investing because you saw a stock drop. Okay. Because like I said, you're going to be Stevie wondering where your money went. You're going to be Stevie wondering where your money went. You'd be like, oh, I invested. Everybody was like, I need to invest in stocks. You have to know how to invest in stocks, what stocks to invest in a downturn. All right, cool. Savings interest, that's a weak one. You know, we're not about that life. Remember, Bank of America, putting your money in a savings account is just above burying it under a mattress, okay? Putting it in a savings account is just above burying it under the mattress. That's what this parable has revealed to us. And then a business you own but don't work in daily. A business you own but don't work in daily, okay? So some people might say, if I got enough equity in this particular company, then that's essentially that. Stocks could be a version of that. But you have to understand that Warren Buffett invests in stocks differently than you do. Warren Buffett got Tim Cook's number at Apple. So if Apple does something stupid, Warren Buffett gonna call that dude in the morning. You ain't got Tim Cook's number, okay? You have no control over what that company decides to do. Warren Buffett can make a call because he owns a big chunk, okay? So just some of the stuff that's been online over the past few days has been irking me because it's gonna have people lose their shirt. It's gonna have people lose their shirt, okay? So what you wanna do, if you wanna get out of servant mode, okay? You wanna get out of employee mode. You wanna use the salary, the income, because remember, your salary is not your income. Income is revenues minus expenses equals income. Your salary is just your revenues. Then you have your living expenses. What's left over at the end of the month, that's your true income, okay? So you wanna use your income to buy or build a customer base, okay? Don't just go build a company, you need to build a customer base. Because if you build a company and you have no customers, then you have no company, okay? So don't call yourself an entrepreneur until you've actually got a client that's paying you full price, not family clients that is paying you full price, like a stranger that you've never met before that says, I want this, okay? So you need to build a customer base, a needs-based business, not just going and getting an LLC and a domain name and some business cards and saying, and a website talking about, I'm an entrepreneur. You got customers? Then you're not an entrepreneur yet. It's all good. It's no judgment. You'll get there, but you're not an entrepreneur until you have customers because customers give you money. A website by itself with no customers doesn't give you money, okay? So you either have to go buy or build a customer base, right? And then from that customer base, and what I've done is I've been able to build or buy assets, right? Or you skip the entrepreneurial phase and you just go from if you're making high salary and your cost of living is down, it means that and that means that you are being able to save and not save as in I'm trying to earn interest in this bank account, but your sacred account, you're able to stack up a lot of money to invest. Then you can skip this customer base thing and you can just go buy assets over here while you still earn money over here, okay? So these are the 3 ways to get money, all right? Go ahead and take a screenshot of this real quick. I'm gonna take it down in just a second. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this. All right. Cool. So with that, I want to leave you with 5 questions. I want to leave you with 5 questions. I want you to write these down. In fact, let me put them. I meant to put them in the slide for you. You need to figure out this week while you're on quarantine, okay? While you're on quarantine this week, you need to figure out what asset, I'm gonna put it up here for you. What asset am I going to acquire? What asset am I going to acquire, all right? That has to be your focus, all right? You may not have the money to get it now, that's okay. You may not have the money to get it now, but it needs to be in your mind that this is my next goal, is to acquire an asset, okay? By any means necessary, I need to acquire an asset. That's the only way that I will start my journey out of servant mode, okay? So here are the questions. Answer these 5 questions over the next week until we meet again. What is the next asset you are seeking to build, buy, or borrow? What is the next asset you are seeking to build, buy, or borrow? Okay. How much money will it cost you up front to get started, to get this asset generating money? How much money will it require monthly to keep this asset going? Maybe $300, maybe zero once you get it, okay? And then how much time will you need to put in daily or weekly to make this asset work? And then how long will it take me to double my money? Rule of 72, okay? How long will it take me to double my money? That's the rule of 72. So I'm gonna just run through real estate on these these questions, okay? What is the next asset you are seeking to build, buy, or borrow? As you all know, I teach to make all this financial spirituality tangible. I demonstrate in the realm of real estate. That is where I demonstrate, okay? So if I'm referring to real estate, I'm not saying that that has to be the asset for you. It may not be the right class for you, but you'll hear me reference it a lot because that's where I've been able to demonstrate at a high level, okay? So real estate, what is the next asset you are seeking to build, buy, or borrow? I'm seeking to buy a 4-family home in New Orleans, okay? A 4-plex. How much money will it cost me up front to get started? A 4-plex will probably cost about $350,000. Given that this is an investment property for me, that will probably be about $80,000 down, or 80 to 100. If I'm using an FHA loan, if you're a first-time buyer and you use a 3.5% down FHA loan, that would be maybe 15,000 down. Okay. How much will it require for? How much money will it require monthly? It will, once I get tenants in it, it will actually cost me nothing. In fact, it will pay me monthly, right? Meaning that is cash flowing immediately when you buy right. And this is part of what I teach in the multifamily movement, okay? How much time will you need to put in daily or weekly to make it work? If I get a property manager, I won't have to put in any time, but that's gonna cost me 10% of rents, okay? If I decide not to have a property manager, then I might get phone calls at 3 a.m. every now and again, okay? That's a trade-off that I can make. Is that worth it, okay? That's what I know. And then how long will it take me to double my money? This home is returning at 12% cash on cash return. Rule of 72, 72 divided by 12 would be 6 years. So in 6 years, I'll have all my money back out of this deal. And for the rest of the life of this deal, that would just be all icing on the cake. So that's how I would run the asset of a 4-family home in New Orleans through these particular 5 questions. All right. All right. Y'all cool with that? Cool. So to wrap up, I want to leave you with our mental wealth treatment, and that you can take with you this week. And actually, I'm going to put that in the slide too. I'm going to put that in the slide for you so that you can take a screenshot and have it with you. Bubble. Edit. All right. So our mental wealth treatment, I am a multiplier. I am, and most of our affirmation will start with I am. I'm a multiplier, okay? So that is our mental wealth treatment. I'm gonna read it in just a second. Now remember, there are 2 types of prayers. There are types of prayers where you will be on your knees, and this is where you are asking from a place of weakness, and you might be going through struggle. You might be needing clarity. There's only about 1 time in the Bible where Jesus asked and prays from his knees, okay? And that was in the Garden of Gethsemane, right before the crucifixion, okay? That's where he was sliding into his human consciousness and was uncertain and had some doubt and some fear, okay? And he said, not my, thine will. Right, and into that, but that was prayer from the knees. Okay, he knelt down. Most of his prayer, the affirmative, and they were from a standing position and a position of power. Okay, and this is what affirmative prayer is a positive affirmative prayer. Okay, and we want most of our prayers to be from a place of power. Okay, so this is our affirmation for this entire series. Right, since we're talking about multiplying money, here's our affirmation. And I want you to say it to yourself out loud as I read. Read it with me, even though I can't hear you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I am a multiplier. I was born to be fruitful and multiply. I subtract all thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry from my mind. I unify any thoughts in my mind divided against themselves. I seek first the kingdom of God, knowing that everything I need and desire shall be added unto me. Ashe, amen, and so it is. Okay, I'll do it one more time. I am a multiplier. I was born to be fruitful and multiply. I subtract all thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry from my mind. I unify any thoughts in my mind divided against themselves. I seek first the kingdom of God, knowing that everything I need and desire shall be added unto me. Ashe, amen, and so it is. All right. So that is our closing affirmation for the week. I'll just, a few announcements. So again, if this truth set you free, then please set it free by sharing it as widely as you possibly can. Bring somebody with you to Financial Church next week. So hit the share like button, and then send the URL, The Financial Church, text it to a few people. A lot of people are gonna be in quarantine. Send them the replay. The replay will be posted at thefinancialchurch.com. They can sign up there. Also, I want everybody to go to thefinancialchurch.com right now. And I need you to scroll down to the bottom and sign up for text message reminders, okay? Go to thefinancialchurch.com right now while we're here and sign up for text message reminders. Okay, you'll see it. I'm gonna put it in here for you. This will make sure that you don't miss service when I have it, when I host it. Right now we're doing 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. So I encourage you to go get the text message reminder. Just another way for me to stay in tune and stay in touch with you. Remember that this is a 4-part series, and I told you I was going to do this series, and then I was going to see what God wanted from me after this. Okay. And so right now we're in week 3. Sign up for text messages. Now we're in week 3. Week 4 is next week. And then what we're going to do is week 5. In week 5, at the beginning of every single month, y'all, at the beginning of every single month, we actually do our balance sheets. Okay. So instead of actually a sermon or a ministry or a teaching, we actually go through the process of doing our balance sheets on the first Sunday of every single month. Okay. So what that looks like is it looks like we'll be here together and we'll be going through all of our checking accounts, all of our savings accounts, all of our retirement accounts. We'll be putting that into our asset column. And then we'll look at all of our liabilities from mortgages, credit cards, student loans, other types of debts. And we will evaluate what our net worth is at that moment in time. And that will become a monthly ritual that we do so that over time, we will see how our net worth is growing month by month by month. I've been doing this for almost a decade now. No, not a decade. Yeah, a decade now. So every single month. Actually, I typically do it on the first of the month, whenever that falls, but I want us to do it together. I want to show you how to do it. You're going to get faster and faster at doing it. It's going to be private. I'm going to create a spreadsheet for you that you can download into Google Sheets, Excel, or Numbers. And it's going to take some time because y'all going to forget your passwords. We got so many accounts spread out. We forget passwords, things like that. It's going to take time. But at the end, you're going to constantly see your net worth. And what gets measured is what gets done. What gets measured is what gets done. So this is just a ritual that we're going to do every single month to evaluate, wow, did my net worth grow this month? If it didn't grow, then that's a red flag. And we got to figure out what's causing your net worth to go backwards, even though you just worked 20 plus days in a particular month, right? Something is broken. Our net worth should be increasing month by month by month. All right. So that will be the first Sunday of every single month. There will be no particular teaching. Probably not, because I think that process is probably going to take us 30 minutes, but it is so important to be financially aware of where you're at. Right. and actually to start to see growth. Remember, we serve a God of growth. And so if we're not growing, then that means we're dying. All right. So with that, I want to say, I want to hear your greatest takeaway from today in chat. In the comment section, what was your greatest takeaway from today? And then we'll close out. I'll read those off and we'll close out. And what was your greatest takeaway? Oh yeah, Carmelita reminded us from last week to read your success stalker letters daily. They should be posted on your bathroom mirror. If you weren't here last week, then go look at the Bringing Heaven to Earth section. That was the activity and exercise I had everyone do. All right, so let me see. Somebody said, being accountable for my talents. Sonia said, encouragement. Melinda said, I tried to get on the website for the tech sign up and it said the site is not secure. Okay, Melinda, it's not asking you for money, so you'll be okay if you still go to it, but I'll look into that. Did anybody else get to the site successfully? Try https://www. Okay. Armel said the ACE framework. Angela said, I want to say thank you. You are really doing God's work. I recently discovered you through being a follower of Dr. Watkins. Since then, I've been obsessed myself with listening to all of your teachings on YouTube and even reading your IG posts for some time now. I've been asking God to connect me with people who are like-minded myself, and I feel so alone on this journey to freedom. So when I came across you, I knew that you were heaven sent. Oh my goodness. I simply want to thank you. Oh man, that warms my heart, yo. That's currency right there. That's true wealth. That's the wealth that doesn't rust, right? The moth can't eat it and can never be stolen. That is the wealth that I want you to be able to create, but we have to master this lower form of wealth first. Not first. We can do stuff like that where we pour into people's hearts, but I want you to be able to be in the space that I'm in, which is the ability to give freely, just to give freely of yourself, because that's what God has done for us. Javier said the ACE method framework. Dante said how you broke down the parable. Letitia said it meant I'm meant to be a multiplier and I'm better than my current position. Anointed said blessings to you and your family. Thank you. Valerie said the affirmation that it's not my money, but it's God's money. Yeah. Shavern said learn to be a master. Carmelita said the 3 levels, the ACE model. Javier said thank you. I'll read a couple more. Samuel said great message. Learn how to be a good steward of your money. Learn how to use and multiply money. It's only money and it does not belong to me. It belongs to God. Learning the concept of money, beautiful. Instagram, my takeaway for today is get out of employee mode, become an employer. Toya Penny said, I'm crying. This was amazing. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's how you know you're doing God's work. And blessings. All right, so if the website wasn't working, then please, the website wasn't working. Send me a DM on Instagram if the website wasn't working and I'll message you back. Actually, email support@thefreedomschool.com. Support@thefreedomschool.com, and I'll make sure to get you added to the list. I'm gonna put that in, support@thefreedomschool.com. I just put it in. Facebook, somebody type that in, support@thefreedomschool.com, and message me there and I'll make sure you get added to the list. I'll figure out what's going on with the website. All right. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I look forward to next Sunday. And then that'll be the end of this series, of the 4-part series. We're doing receive in order to give. A lot of people talk about giving, then receiving. We're going to do receive in order to give. Okay. If we receive, we're actually cutting off this reciprocal cycle, and this cyclical cycle and reciprocal cycle. And then the week after that, we will do our balance sheets together, and we'll do that together monthly. And then between now and then, I'll be praying, and I want you to pray for me as well to see if Spirit, if God wants me to continue with this ministry weekly, or if it wants me to evolve it to another form or deliver it in another way. All right. So please keep me in your prayers. And I wish you all a great, great week. Use this time of quarantine to go within yourself and connect with your creator. A lot of people complain that they can't They have no time to pause, and now we're all been forced to pause, right? We've been forced to be still. And so Jesus went into the desert and was tempted for 40 days, 40 nights. Noah, it rained 40 days, 40 nights. Moses went up on the mountain 40 days, 40 nights. So a lot of you were being quarantined for about a month. And so this is a sacred space that, if you use it properly, can be rejuvenating for you and bring you more in alignment with the work that you're meant to do in the world. And yeah, so you'll be in a space where you're hearing your own thoughts by not interacting with people. A lot of times when we interact with other people, we project our stuff on them, and really it's our thoughts that we're projecting on them and through them back to us. Everybody's just our mirror. But now there's nobody to blame or point a finger at for how we feel about our life. It actually, when we're sitting by ourselves, there's no boss to point a finger at. There's no person who's driving crazy to point our finger at. You might have a significant other or kids to point a finger at. that can happen. But use this solitude and embrace it, because who knows how long it's going to last. So use it and use it to connect with your source. All right. Appreciate y'all. Love you. And talk to you next week. Okay. Much love. Peace.